I grew up watching World War II movies that cast a shadow on Germany, right? But I've traveled all of Germany and I've stayed with German people and I know the hospitality of German people. I drive a BMW because it's the best car on the planet. You know, through story we must learn our strengths, not our weaknesses, you know. So in representing that second guy and finding that kind of storyline falling into my path all the time, I always take a big deep breath and go, oh God, here I go again, that guy. I just try to create a character that has reason to have mistakes. I mean, all of us have reasons to have mistakes. I think Slade Wilson and Crixus probably relate more to the normal person who's not a hero than maybe the heroic roles, which are defined by almost always getting it right. So, I don't know, I always get these kinds of characters and I always try to play them with as much emotional truth and integrity as I can. You know, when I killed his mother, I thought, uh-oh, that's the end of this character's ability to reach the audience. But maybe because of the Mirakuru, maybe because of the idea that I played that as though it was substance abuse, as though maybe it's a relative who's got an alcohol problem, or maybe, you know, something like this. You hope that that character might redeem themselves, that they might come back and be something decent. I was pretty surprised in Series 6 of Arrow that when I walked out of the prison and I said to Oliver Queen, "You're looking for my help? You do understand that I killed your mother." Maybe there's a genuineness about the scene, you know, again, and I don't mean to be rude to anybody, but maybe, you know, now that we're so many years past, you know, a certain war, that we all look at each other and we have a good message and a good signal and a brotherhood and a modern truth to speak to each other, you know, so therefore we can move past things always. But if you want to ask me what symbolically, what it looked like with me killing his mother, there's so many layers to that, in terms of what that represents on screen. From Deathstroke to killing Moira Queen, to a brown-skinned actor killing the blonde-haired mother of a blonde-haired main hero, you know. There's many layers to it. And as an artist, to be conscious of that, I think is imperative. Like if you listen to somebody on piano, if somebody's just done lessons, piano lessons, and they play Rachmaninoff, they're going to play it technically. But if somebody's actually gone through some stuff in their life and they really understand what Rachmaninoff wrote, they're going to play it in a way that's going to move you because of the personal sort of connection to that performance. So the complexity in the moment that Moira Queen died and I was on the other side of that blade had a lot of layers. And I hope that answers the question. And I
Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure, brother. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
I didn't really know anything about Deathstroke at all when I started to play the character. Basically, I arrived at the airport in Canada, and they still hadn't told me the name of the character that I was playing, and I saw it on my telephone, and I was sort of in line for the immigration, and I went, "What?" And I said to my agent over the phone, I said, "Slade Wilson? That's not the name of the character that I read for in the audition." And she said, "Yeah, it's just been announced on Vanity, you know, on Hollywood Reporter and stuff, on magazines and whatnot." And I went, "Slade Wilson?" And the guy behind the immigration counter, the immigration officer, he went, "You played Slade Wilson?" And I went, and he went, "That's Deathstroke, man. He's like the badass of the DC world." So I'd found out from that character from the immigration guy. And for the next couple of weeks, kept on filming. 3 or 4 weeks later, I'm at another convention and they go, "Oh, that's my..." No, this guy walked up to the table beside me and he went, "Hey!" And he just walked off. And I didn't know who this guy was. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then the guy who was my assistant, he said, "You know that was George Perez? That's the guy who wrote Deathstroke, Slade Wilson." And I jumped over the desk. I jumped over this table and I went running after him and I went, "Mr. Perez." Sorry, no, not George Perez. Marv Wolfman. I said, Mr. Wolfman. I said, Marv Wolfman. I'm Manu Bennett. I play Deathstroke. He says, I know. And I went, because I met George Perez and he said I don't look anything like the character. And he went, nah, don't worry about it. And I said, have you seen it? And he said, yeah, I've seen the first couple episodes. You're doing fantastic. And that was the first time that I felt anything positive about where I was going with Slade Wilson. Are you guys okay out there? It looks like you're all getting sort of cooked slowly. You've gone another colour. You were kind of not so pink about 10 minutes ago, but yeah. If you want to come and sit up on the stage, feel welcome. Hey kid, come up here. Come up. Yeah. Come. I saw you get out of the sun. Just don't. Can you bring him a Coke? Have a seat, brother. I came over to Europe this time because I have to earn money. I've got mortgages, you know, so I came over here to do a 2-month stint, which was long enough to be away from my kids, but then I landed this role in Bulgaria, which I shouldn't mention as being a teen sci-fi that's of no merit. I read the script and it reminded me of Rutger Hauer, who died a week beforehand. You know, I made a post on my Instagram about you know, tears in rain. You know, I've seen battleships on fire off the shores of Orion, you know, moonbeams bouncing off the Tannhauser gates. All of it will be lost like tears in rain. I mean, when I saw that line as a young man wanting to express myself as an artist, I thought that Rutger Hauer's breath was just incredible. What an artist. So I made that post a week beforehand, and then I got the script for this particular character that's on this series, and he was speaking poetry in some sort of vague way that reminded me of Rutger Hauer, and I rang up my manager and I said, you know, what is this? It's on CW, is it a teen series, is it all that sort of stuff? And he went, yeah, it's all of that, but it's not about character. And you know, my acting coach told me there's no small roles, there's only small actors.
I think Crixus is also coming back to life to some degree, right? You've been working on a project with Crixus. Is that something that you can talk about already, or?
Just in I guess briefly we can touch on it. I went to a Comic-Con in Greece, in Thessaloniki, and an artist there had done such a wonderful comic book version of Crixus. This young artist from Greece, I've just spent a few weeks with him down in Athens, and he's started to storyboard some Crixus comic book stuff, and it's really awesome. We're going all the way like the show went, and I don't think there's ever been a comic that looks as graphic as what this guy's drawing. So.